Hey guys, this is Stephen Hurd with Keller Williams Realty here in beautiful Orange County, California. And today I'm going to be doing an interview with Aleta Sarno. Aleta owns a company called ISA Experts, where she has inside sales agents who prospect for other agents. She's going to tell us all about it. But first, we're going to dive into learning a little bit about her, as well as some training on converting for sale by owners. So Aleta has 40 ISAs currently working for her right now. So as you can imagine, she has a lot of experience with for sale by owners. So Aleta, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for, having me on. I'm very excited to, mastermind with you and share some industry knowledge.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking time for us. And I love that quote on your background, no pressure, no diamonds. What does that mean to you?
As you apply pressure, you create something greater. A lot of us, we just kind of become complacent in life. And one of my roles in life is to continue to put the pressure and see how awesome that we can make things, because you never really know. I actually had an awesome conversation with my data manager today. He's been with me for about 4.5 years since I started. And like, you've mastered your job. You've hit the ceiling. Let's see what else you're good at. And just kind of took a safety net away, and I put some more pressure onto him to see how we can get a better version of himself.
That's awesome. Thank you for taking time to share that. So cool. So tell us a little bit about, just briefly about yourself. Where are you at in the country? What's your experience been in real estate? And specifically, what's your experience been with FSBOs?
Okay, great. Yeah, so I've been in the real estate industry for about 15 years now. My base background is Keller Williams. I had been with Keller Williams for about 14 years, and I started my ISA company about 4.5 years ago, basically because it's already something that I really did at a high level. I built my real estate businesses, and I didn't come from a referral network, right? So I had to hit the phones.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there and real estate agents out there that they get their real estate license because they know a lot of people, or they're in their hometown, or maybe they were in sales for 20 years and they're able to use all these networking, abilities to get them a clientele.
Yeah.
And I started real estate very young. So who wants to buy a house from a 20-year-old?
Right.
Like, here, let me help you sell your $500,000 home. And I mean, I had never lived in a home, worth over 100,000 at that point. I came from very meager beginnings. So I had a lot to learn. And I honestly fell in love with finding the FSBOs in the newspapers and calling them and prospecting them. I actually was prospected by a team leader with Keller Williams when I had my own house for sale by owner. And
Wow.
at the time, my license wasn't in, and I told him, I said, my first 6 months in real estate was a terrible example of what I wanted to do. So I put my license on the shelf, so to speak. And I said, but if you teach me what you did, I will reactivate and join your team.
Wow.
And he did. And we were together for the next 7 years, where he
That's
taught me how to do
amazing.
cold calls.
So you started as a for sale by owner before you even got into the industry.
Yeah, I was licensed for about 6 months, and I had joined a company called Windermere, and just joined the wrong people. When the wrong people, they taught me a lot, but it just wasn't a good fit for what I wanted. So
Sure.
I put my license inactive, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just sell my own house, and a realtor that sells their own house.
Yeah.
And so I was actually prospected as a FSBO before I even learned how to do a cold call. I didn't know what a cold call was. And, when he came over to my house and said, well, I need a buyer's agent. And I said, you teach me what you did to me on the phone. And I was in love with it from the beginning. So fast forward, 10 years later, there's a huge need for us to have USA-based services, ISA services in the real estate industry and the lending industry. And that's what I set out to create. So
That's amazing. So, and thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like somebody prospected you 15 years ago, and that phone call changed your life. You got into real estate, knocked it out with prospecting. And now, what you've always been good at, which sounds like is the prospecting portion, now you're just training other people to do it to get results for other agents.
Yep, absolutely. When I joined his team, Ren Jones was our coach. He's now the owner of Vulcan 7. We studied the ferry systems.
Yep.
Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, all of those scripts and objection handlers. And, it's funny because he put a phone book in front of me and he said, okay, start calling. And I broke out in hives.
Oh my gosh.
I was like,
Wow.
okay, maybe I should just start with FSBOs. You started with FSBOs, so let's start with FSBOs. And I realized I could call any data as long as I had the right script. And I knew what to say. You could put any data source in front of me with the right script. And
Sure.
fine, I didn't break out into hives.
That's great. So, so that's amazing. Tell us a little bit about, because we want to give anyone who's watching a little bit of tangibility in terms of your results. How much of your business would you say was for sale by owners in your, 15-year career?
I would say a good half, actually. I love prospecting FSBOs. FSBOs really need our help. And up until about 4 or 5 years ago, they really didn't have those online sources like they do now.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's more difficult now to earn business from a FSBO than it used to be.
Sure.
Back before they could post it on Zillow, back before they could just blast it and pay our MLS to put it in the MLS for us, they were relying on the newspaper. And then from the newspaper, it was Craigslist. And then from Craigslist, now it's Make Me Move on Zillow.
Yeah.
Or I throw $500 to your MLS and it's the same thing. I can do what you can do. And a lot of for sale by owners are self-educated. And there's Google, what can you not do without Google, So it is more difficult, but yeah, I would say a good 50% of my business was FSBO, but you really have to understand the nature of a for sale by owner and why they're doing what they're doing. And if you can understand that and work that angle, and be their resource and come from a place of how you can help them, then that's where you're in their business.
That's a really valid point. And I think that's where we should kind of start off, is talking about, what is the nature, what is the mindset of a FSBO? Before we do that, of your 40 ISAs and let's say in 2018, do you have any concrete numbers of how many FSBO appointments you set?
For my smallest package, we average 2 a week.
Okay.
My largest package, it could be 20 to 30 a month, depending on how many FSBOs we have to pull from. So the hardest part about me giving averages is that it has to do with the working area. So if I realtor in Denver or just the outskirts of Denver, let's say Loveland, and they only have 30 FSBOs a month, our results are going to be a lot different than, let's say, somebody in Ohio where they service an entire 2-hour radius. Yeah. They're getting 200 FSBOs a month. Sure. But I do have time spent.
As an example, I'm in Orange County, California. We may get 2 to 3 FSBOs a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great. For the clients that you do have, do you know about how many FSBO appointments you booked for the clients that you did have last year? Just to give us kind of an example of like, what's the volume you do?
Our FSBO appointments just on their own was just under 1,000 last year.
Wow. So we're not talking to somebody who just calls FSBOs here and there. We're talking to somebody who has data, experience, training around almost 1,000 appointments.
We do it at a really high level.
Awesome. And I just wanted to share that because, that will get that is important for anyone who's watching this right now. When you want to learn something, you want to learn from a fitness, if you want to learn fitness, you go to the, best fitness person, right? And so we want to learn from your experience. So thanks for sharing it with us. Let's get into the mindset of a for sale by owner, and just, there was a different term you used. I can't remember, but you said kind of get into what they're thinking. So walk us through maybe the 2 to 3 beliefs they have and that realtors should be aware of.
Right. So the psychology of a for sale by owner is, number one, they can do it themselves. These are your classic do-it-yourselfers. These are people that in theory would go to Home Depot on the weekend, learn how to lay tile, and come home and actually lay their own tile.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people that legitimately want to put the funds, resources, time into the achievement of doing it on their own.
Sure.
They love the gratification of not having to rely on people.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, not all of them.
Let me pause right there. The quote you just said, they like the gratification of doing something on their own. I think that's really important because, if you want to get on the same side of the table as someone, you want to be in rapport with them, you have to understand what they're about. So
Yes.
these people are happy when they are doing things by themselves, and it represents a level of achievement, a level of satisfaction. So when you try to come in and say, hey, you're stupid for doing that, you're attacking them at a very core sense of their being. So I'm glad you brought that up. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they want to be able to have that achievement of doing it on their own. They want to be able to go to their family outing and say, yeah, I did it. I didn't need anybody. I didn't need to hire a real estate agent. And the ones that do it themselves, they are so about it that they would even start a Facebook group of, I did it myself and I'll show you how. Like, not only do they like to do it themselves, but they like to have the gratification of teaching somebody else how to do it themselves.
Sure.
So a lot of times when we call FSBOs, they have a support system that they're like, oh, well, I already have my friend who sold their house that's teaching me how to sell my house.
Yes.
And we have an army of people to overcome.
Yeah.
So it's really not even just the, hey, you can't do it without me. Now it's, well, your friend, family member, realtor twice removed is not a credible source. You should trust me over them.
Yeah.
There's a whole psychology behind them that you're really overcoming.
That's a great point. And the more you can be aware of it, and understand it, the more you can appreciate what they're coming from, which will give you some patience when dealing with them.
Oh, and patience is what's going to give you a lot of, what you're going to need to get to closing them. The other thing that we've also known with FSBOs is that it's not always a money thing or a bottom line thing, but a lot of times it is. A lot of times they've heard that it's very expensive to work with real estate agents, and they've also educated themselves on not using flat rate brokerages. So they don't want to be sold. They don't want to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay somebody $1,500 a flat rate to sell their home, and they put a sign in the ground and never see them again.
Sure.
Right. Just as much as they don't want to pay somebody 6%.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let's take that belief that, hey, this is a person who likes to do things on their own. They get a sense of gratification from, laying tile or selling it on their own. And let's bring that down into an actionable conversation. How would that show up in your script? Let's say I'm a for sale by owner, and, I just tell you, listen, I really want to sell it on my own. I've got the time. This is actually kind of fun for me. And you don't have to, have the perfect script right now, but how would it show up in your conversation?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, my main script that before any client hires us to do ISA work, I share with them the script that I've been using for 15 years that I got success with. And it's a very different take on how to work FSBOs.
Yeah.
Now, I want to tell you about it, but I just want everybody watching to listen to it with an open mind.
Sure.
Because there are many wonderful scripts out there to work with FSBOs. How we like to disarm FSBOs is to approach them as, what do you need to buy after this sells?
Sure.
It's free to work with us to represent you as a buyer. We understand you have your home taken care of. You can sell it. It looks like you've done everything right. You've priced it. You've put pictures up. You can do the showings like you said you have the time. But I understand you're going to be very busy because you're doing my job and you're running your family and you're going to work. So who's helping you find your new house?
Right.
And a lot of times, I would say 75% of the time, they go, oh, well, we were going to deal with that after we sold it. Okay, well, we don't want to leave you homeless.
Yeah.
How about, I'm going to be at a listing appointment around your area tomorrow night at 6. How about I swing by? I'll show you some examples of what's on the market, and we can get some showing set up for you because, like I said before, it's free to work with me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main key ways that we set appointments. What normally happens is that the agent gets the listing because they find home.
Definitely. And that's a great point, Aleta. Again, they want to do it themselves. And so you start the conversation by being empathetic and say, hey, listen, I understand you're going to do it yourself. I understand that, you've spent some time dealing with this. So I'm actually calling to see how I can help you find the next home. Because a lot of FSBOs, even though they are strong about feeling they can sell their home, a lot of them don't mind you representing them on the buy side because there's no pain. There's nothing coming out of their pocket.
Yep, exactly. Now, obviously, we go through our qualifying script, right? We want to know what they want to buy. We want to know if they're working with a lender. We want to know their motivation to sell.
Yeah.
We also ask them how long they're mentally prepared to sell it themselves.
Sure.
Right? How long are you giving yourself? 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months? what's going to happen if you don't sell your home, right?
Yep.
And then great. So tell me more about what you want to buy. Have you been pre-qualified? No. Okay. Well, the first step, let me have my lender call you.
Yeah.
Let's get that out of the way. The last thing I would want to do is for you to sell your home. We go to buy a home and find out you have to rent for a year.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're listening to you. They're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the psychology of sales, if you can put doubt in someone's mind, right, you have a better chance of earning that listing. Now, some people may look at it as you're hard selling or hard closing someone, or they're getting sold. But honestly, real estate agents are here for a reason. And most people don't see the value in a realtor. So what you're doing is putting that doubt in their mind that you might know more than them.
Yeah.
You know? And most of the time we do, right? Every once in a while you find that FSBO that sold every property of theirs. They used to be licensed, and well, you know what? Bless you, go at it. You know, do you need any help finding property? If not, you know, have a great day. Move on to the next one. But as you go through that qualifying script and you set the appointment to see them the next day, right? Hey, I have some time. I'm going to be showing property in your area. Hey, I have some time. I'm going to be at a listing appointment. I say that regardless if I do or not. It's actually a really great trick for new agents to sound busy, right?
Definitely.
You showed up in their home, say, great, give me a tour. Okay, perfect, beautiful home. I found some properties that I thought you might be interested in. Let's take a look at them. You show them the property, see if there's any that you want to show. You set up a showing time. And right there, face to face, you talk to them about their values. You talk to them about their staging. You say, look, you've committed to selling your house. I need you to be able to do it in a timely fashion. So we got to be on the same page. You're going to sell your house. I'm going to find you the home. What's going to happen if I find you your forever home and you can't get your house sold? So let's fix the staging. Let's fix your pictures.
Yeah.
Let's fix the price. Oh, and by the way, I can do that for you if you want to, but you got this. I'll just guide you, right? Yeah. I guarantee you when you get them in that house that they want to buy and you say, perfect, now we just need to get your home sold. What do you think? Should I get my sign in the ground?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's an awesome point. And I think that the traditional approach is you call them and you kind of verbally abuse them into giving you an appointment. That's kind of how we were taught, taught to sell, right? And the new approach is you educate, you inform, and whatever area of sales you're in, you have to bring something to the client, something to the table that they don't know. And that's the only way that you're going to stand out when 50, 60 other people are calling. Because as you know, I'm in Orange County, California. Again, there may be 100 phone calls before noon. So you're going to be like vanilla if you don't have something that stands out. So one question that I would often ask FSBOs is, what are your biggest fears or concerns about selling right now? And, no realtor took the time to ask that. So they'll say, well, we're a little bit worried about the termite report or what's going to come back on the inspection. Hey, listen, would you like me to introduce you to a good termite inspector, a good house painter, and a good home inspector? I could send the information over right now. And most of them are like, wow, you do that for free? That's what they always ask. And I'd say, absolutely. Listen, I know you're going to sell it on your own. I don't have any worries about that. But hey, listen, if things don't work out or it becomes too much of a hassle, you're going to obviously want to work with the person who gives you the most value, right? They'll say, yeah, great. So that's what I intend to be for you. And then just go right on to the script.
Absolutely. I love that. And not only are you opening up, you're facing that fear with them, but then you're showing your value by helping them through it.
Exactly. So great point on that. So you covered the script that you use. I love your approach. And as I'm hearing you say it, I can just tell, you've done this so many times, you're passionate about it. So the reason it might be successful for you is because you have a lot of experience with it. For the people who are watching this, don't just give a FSBO script one shot. Okay. You need to give it like 90 days, right? And then you can kind of test your results and say, what do I need to, fix or change? The biggest challenge I see with agents with FSBOs is they call one, they have a bad experience, and then they quit. You need to call like 1,500, have a couple of experiences, get better, and then, tweak your process.
Absolutely. I mean, I would suggest to keep going and tweaking their script and trying other scripts until they've called every single FSBO in their working radius for the past 3 months and gotten them on the phone. Have you established if they've already sold, or have you established how you can help them? Then you're not done yet.
Exactly. So with that, let's segue into the 3 most common objections you get and how you handle them. So what would you say are your top 3? And, you know, maybe give a little statement that you would say as a rebuttal to each.
Well, one of the main objections that we get when we say, well, what's going to happen if you don't get your home sold, right? We go through our script of how long are you committed to sell it? And they give us an answer. And then we ask them that open-ended question of, well, what's going to happen when you don't get your home sold? A lot of real estate agents and my ISAs, they get stuck when the person says, well, we'll just say it's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. And they get stuck and they're like, okay, well, if it's not a big deal and you don't really need to sell your home, then I guess you don't need me. And they kind of cower away, right?
Yeah.
And so I like to take it one step forward, and I just kind of readjust the whole mindset where I say, okay, well, why did you originally want to sell your home? So instead of engaging in that conversation where I say, well, there must be some reason why, you know, instead of me trying to force them into caring, I say, okay, well, why did you want to sell your home? Well, if we don't get moved, my babies are going to be born and I'm not going to be there for the birth. So we'd really like to be there in 90 days, but it's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? So there's something there where, well, we have a job transfer. Well, if it's military, then we have to move. Or this house is too big for us. We need to downsize. We can't afford our bills. But it's really not a big deal. And they only say it's not a big deal because they don't want you to think that they need you.
Yeah.
Because themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's a great point. So your approach is not buying into their lack of motivation. Your approach is saying, hey, you know, tell me again, why did you start? What goal did you have in mind when you put it up for sale? And finding out what their ultimate motivation is, because a lot of them, I mean, for the people watching this, guys and gals, you're getting 50 calls a day from realtors who just have one goal. They want to list your home. Are you going to explain your motivation, your fears, your concerns, your criteria with 50 people? No, you'd lose your job, right? Nobody has the time to do that. So they become guarded after call number 2, number 3, and that's why you have to mirror and match them, and also ask them really good questions like Aleta has taught us to do. So that's awesome. What would you say is the second top objection you get, and how do you handle it?
I say them saying that they don't even want to work with a real estate agent at this time. They really want to try it on their own, and they haven't handled where they're going to go. Like they just shut you down.
Yeah.
Completely 100%. We don't want to do it right now. I'm shut down, da, 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 da. A lot of the times when people ask me how I handle objections, I typically change the subject where I acknowledge what they say. I appreciate what they're saying. Oh, absolutely. Well, that sounds great. I can appreciate you wanting to get it done on yourself. Are you currently working with a lender? Do you need to buy a home? Okay, great. You have it taken care of. Are you currently working with a lender?
Yeah.
Or else, well, when's your next open house scheduled? Or something along those lines to get more information so I can circle back on what their needs actually are.
Definitely. So, and just a quick tip for anyone watching this, you know, if you have a good lender, if you have a good termite inspector, a good home inspector, a good appraiser, any of those things, just put together an email. And, you know, if they start to give you objections and say, hey, listen, I don't need your help, just say, hey, great. You know, do you have a good title rep? Do you have, you know, when's your next open house scheduled? Put together a list of resources that you can send them and email that over to them, because the best way to build trust is to start the relationship by giving something and saying, here, I'm going to do something nice for you without any expectation. And the rest of the follow-up will be a lot better.
Well, especially after they just shut you down. I think that's the perfect area to plug your script. So when people talk to me about objection handlers, and I want to do the third one because the third one's great, especially for real estate agents, it's almost like trying to get something from a toddler when you focus on getting it, right? If a toddler has a permanent marker and all you want is the permanent marker, and they refuse to give you the permanent marker, and you say, do you like M&Ms? And they go, yeah. And they drop the marker, right? Yeah. That's essentially what I do when I'm on the phone with even expireds. I disarm them with another question.
Oh, that's hilarious.
totally lose sight of it. And I keep that in the back of my head. But honestly, their objections is just their fear of commitment because they don't trust you and you haven't provided value yet.
Definitely.
So I'm not going to try to disrespect them by saying, well, there has to be some reason why you want to move, or why would you just waste your time? You're just wasting your time and everybody else's time. And I just end the phone call mad. Well, no, great. Well, why did you originally want to sell? And, oh, okay, that's perfect. I can appreciate you wanting to do it on your own. How about I send over a list of contractors so that when you do accept an offer, you're ready to go with a home inspection?
That's amazing. The analogy you use is hilarious, by the way, and I love that analogy. I don't have kids, so I can't really empathize with that one. However, I just remember being a kid, and it was like, yeah, I mean, you know, the more you pursue what I want, the more I'm going to hold on to it. And an analogy that I've used for a lot of people is actually myself in high school. And if anyone's watching and they have kids in high school, it's like when someone gets in high school, they tend to reject their parents' advice. They don't want to take anything that their parents say and do it. But then their parents kind of just love them and love them and love them. And then, you know, when they're 20, 25, it's like now my dad and I have the most amazing relationship ever. We talk every single day because, you know, he persistently just kept doing kind things for me, right? It's the same thing with FSBOs. When you're following up, you know, they generally list about 6 to 8 weeks after they've listed as a FSBO. So about 6 to 8 weeks after, they'll list with an agent. And every week, I want to call them and just love on them. Do something nice. Hey, you know, here's a good, you know, lender to qualify your clients. Week number 2, here's a termite inspector. Week number 3, here's an example of some ways that you can market your home as a for sale by owner. And you do 8 or 9 nice things for them when they're ready, because we tend to protect our ego. Okay, so if I'm disagreeing with them for 8 weeks, they're going to be really closed off from me. But if I'm just respectful and I show them kindness, when they're ready to have that conversation, they'll feel like, hey, it's okay to call Steve. He's not going to condemn me for making a stupid decision, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking to a FSBO and you say, and they go, oh, I don't need a real estate agent. I'm good. I can take it. I don't want to work with anybody right now. And you're like, you know what? I want to call you next week and I want you to have an accepted offer because I know how good I feel when I sell a home. I want to celebrate with you. What's a good time next week for me to check in with you?
That is amazing. I love that.
When you support what they're doing, they're going to be more open to their failures. Just like how you respond as a high schooler with your dad, just helping you. You're like, okay, Dad, I guess I wasn't the expert. What was that advice that you wanted to give me?
Exactly.
You know, because you want to fail on your own. And I think that that's a very good thing. I think we need to support it. But if we can help them and we can earn their business, then let's go along with their plan while shooting holes in it a little bit. We want to educate them. We want to help them. But you want to say, hey, you don't want to just hire any termite inspector. I'll get you my guy.
Yeah.
He's the most cost effective. He's the most trustworthy. And I vouch for him.
Definitely. And before we go on to the third objection, I'm not sure, did we cover the third one yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Before we go on to that one, just one thing that's my philosophy, and it's not everyone's, is for sale by owners, get in front of them as soon as you can, as many as you can. Yes. Depending on your market, like for my marketplace, if I'm going to see a for sale by owner, it's going to take me 15, 20 minutes. That's a good investment of time because they're going to be, I'd rather have the FSBO script done in person than over the phone because their trust level of you goes up when they meet you. You dress nice, you speak well, you're confident, you're educated. Then the whole rest of the follow-up game, now they can put a picture to the face. So that's just one little tip for everyone. What's the third objection, Aleta?
The third objection is mostly when real estate agents do their calls on their own behalf and not when my ISAs do it. One of the questions that I encourage real estate agents to ask that my ISAs, it's a pretty gray area for them to ask is, how did you price your home? One of the reasons why we want to ask that is to see if they have a real estate agent in the family that's helping them, but also a lot of them say Zillow. A lot of them say their neighbor's house. And it's a great way, whatever they answer, it's a great way for you to be the expert.
Yep.
Right? And you're already asking them, well, how long have you been trying to sell it? How many offers have you had? And then that third question, well, how did you price your home?
Sure.
And it all ties in together with you being the expert. Now, I like to handle that objection by educating them about Zillow, by educating them about their neighbor's home. And that's my way of setting an appointment. So I handle the objection by setting an appointment for me to bring over comparables that would be useful for their home.
Great.
Where I can say, hey, statistically speaking, in your area, average days on the market is about 15 to 20 right now, or whatever it is, right? It looks like you're a little bit past that mark. And if you haven't had many offers, you might be a little bit overpriced, or maybe it doesn't show as well as it should. I'll just stop by, take me 20 minutes. I'll share the knowledge that I have, see if I can help you out.
Aleta, that is an amazing script. And I love how you broke that down. Your tone is very helpful. The way you explain it, it's very informative. And what a lot of agents don't realize is that most for sale by owners don't look at average days on market. That's a very real estate specific thing. Like, you have to be kind of nerdy to go in and look at, it has to be your job to really research stats all the time. So, a lot of them are very taken back when you share those stats and they say, wow, I had no clue that was the average days on market. And I'll even bring the Zillow page with all the other for sale by owners and say, here's their average days on market. And consistently across the board, it is always at least triple than what it is when it's listed as with an agent. Okay, so that's one thing you can explain to them is say, listen, no matter if you sell it on your own, no matter what, it's going to take longer to sell it on your own than it would with me. I can do it in 30 days. It's going to take you roughly 90 if you do get it sold. And some of them, their motivation is to get somewhere more quickly than that. And they haven't considered average days on market. So that's an amazing point.
Yeah. And then you can even take the time to educate them on how Zillow prices their homes. You can say, well, Zillow uses an algorithm that's a mile radius. When you get an appraisal, they're going to use a 1/4 mile radius. So right now you're pricing your home by a way that an appraiser won't even be considering.
Yeah.
So let me show you the comps that the appraiser's most likely to use, and you can price your home accordingly. That way, when you do get an offer, it's right in line with the appraisal, especially if the buyer's going to be financed, and you won't have to negotiate on your price at closing.
That's amazing.
Just great ways to educate them. And asking them, and another way to ask them, how did you price your home, is putting that in there. Well, did you have an appraiser do it? And really just kind of, it almost discredits how they did it. When they're like, well, no, I just looked on Zillow and Zillow gave me a Z estimate. Like, oh, that's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like, do you generally trust the Kelley Blue Book price? No, it's like, that's what you listed for, but it usually sells for way off that. So that's a great point. We're going to, let's just end with, end this section with one or two common mistake you think agents make when they call FSBOs. Like, what are the biggest mistakes agents are making? Maybe if you share one, and then I'll share one as well.
Well, I would say that the top two is either going to be believing what they say on the initial phone call. I like to relate it to dating. If you find out that this person just broke up with somebody, you ask them on a date and they tell you no, and you never call them again, and you're terrible at your follow-up. They didn't mean no, they just meant not right now, right? Because they just got out of a relationship.
Yeah.
So number one, it's believing them. But number two, that pigtails with that is your follow-up. You have to stay in touch with FSBOs to get their attention.
Yeah.
You can call them once.
Definitely.
Call them weekly or twice a week with something of value.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. The point that I would say is that the biggest mistake that agents are making is they really don't have, a lot of them don't have anything to offer other than listing it on the MLS. And, if you ask yourself the question, because I've had many agents ask me this, and I've asked myself this when I started, was, well, what can I do other than list it on the MLS? Because that's what they say. And most agents don't have an answer for that. So, the mistake that I think agents make is they haven't taken the time to outline, here's the top 7 to 10 benefits of working with me as a seller versus working with another agent. And if you don't have anything that's different about you and unique about you, then the way real estate is heading with technology and discount brokerages and all this and mega teams, you are going to be taken out of the business if you're not clear on what your value is. So that's what I think the biggest mistake they make is.
Oh, being unclear about the value proposition. I mean, I couldn't agree more. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be like, you as an ISA expert saying, hey, well, what makes your company different? And you just saying, well, I don't know.
I don't
Right?
know.
I mean, you have a very specific answer, and I've heard it and I've seen your stuff. And that's why I was so excited to bring you on today, because you're actually doing it. You're getting results, and that has power.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. This is amazing.
Awesome. And absolutely, thank you for being a part of it. So let's segue into, now that we've gone over that, I feel like we've given some good value to the agents. Let's talk a little bit about what your service is, and just, start off by, what is ISA Experts?
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're one of the only 100% USA-based ISA companies. We don't outsource anything to any other countries. So everything is handled in-house. All of my ISAs come here. We're based right out of Chicago, and we do offer first response. We offer cold calling to expired, canceled FSBOs, conditional withdrawn if you're able to in your area, not all
Yeah.
areas. Okay. We do the probates, we do the absentee owner, we do the—
By first response, do you mean first response on an internet lead?
Yeah, so let's say that you have Facebook leads or internet leads that come in and your phone goes off and you can't get to them. Out there, excuse me, that if you don't respond to your lead within that 5 to 15 minutes, it's lost.
Yep.
And you're chasing it, like you've already lost their trust.
Yeah.
So clients that hire us, they hire us for the first response because they're out showing homes or enlisting appointments, or they're with their family. And we handle the first response from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in your time zone.
That's amazing.
Call center laws, we can only service your calls from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., which
Cool.
you can see that we're USA based because you don't have anything at 3 a.m.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think I saw you post this on Facebook. How many agents do you have with your service? I want to say it was like 123.
Yeah, actually, I just got 7 more.
Nice.
I'm up to 130 now.
Good job.
Projects after the first year, but I can't stress enough how much the next 3 months is going to build your year. In order for you to have that phenomenal spring that you want to have, and a phenomenal beginning of the summer that you want to have, and not be chasing your production come August, September, you've got to start now. I mean, you needed to start 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying go out and hire a service, because if you haven't budgeted for it, it's going to cause you more stress.
Sure.
What I'm saying is get creative. You need to do your prospecting.
Definitely.
You need to apply these tools and get on the phones or send out your emails, reply to people, whatever your prospecting is. Now's the time to get really focused on it.
Yeah. Q1 of any year is building the pipeline.
Yes.
You get so many leads, and then those leads turn into nurtures, and those nurtures make up a lot of your transactions for the year. So
Absolutely.
that's a great point. So, I bring that up because, and ask you how many clients you have, because, you've had 15 years experience as an agent. You've been calling people, your entire career. Everyone can see, what you're doing, your scripts are polished. So, if anyone here is looking for an ISA company, this is just evidence of, we have a credible source that you guys can go to. So that's just one of the things I wanted to bring to the group. Who is your ideal agent to help? Who's like your ideal client?
I would say the agent that can trust the process and have an open mind of, even if I set you 5 appointments today, they're not going to close for 45 days. So even if I get you in the door and you get the buyer in and they're pre-qualified and it's the perfect system, when you invest in an ISA company, you can't expect to get that solid ROI in the first 30 days.
Yeah.
Whether you're a solo agent just starting out, or you've been in the business for a while, or you have a team of 10, 20, 30, 40 agents, and you're a big hitter team and you need a solid ISA company, your expectations on ROI has to be within that 90 to 120 days. Now, I don't say that to when you should start seeing results, because honestly, when we pick up the phone and you have the right data source, you'll see results.
Yeah.
But for you to get that income back, is you're still a commission-based company, whether you hire it out or not. So
yeah, it's a much longer sales cycle than traditional products.
Absolutely. The other thing that would classify one of our favorite type of clients is the clients that love the nurtures. They love the maybes. They love that tomorrow business. Appointments are great. We're going to set appointments, but those agents that want to talk to those people that want to do something in 4, 5, 6 months. They want to call them and introduce themselves. People that are passionate about earning people's business.
Definitely. And in a class that I teach called Lead Follow-Up Excellence, the first point in it is 70% of our appointments as a team, we did 65 sales last year, 70% of our appointments came from lead follow-up. So it's that 5th,
Yes.
6th, 12th, 15th. I just posted in the group the other day, 78 phone calls, and finally I got an appointment. So it's the follow-up games where we win. So do your ISAs do the follow-up, or do you do the initial call and then the agent does the follow-up?
You know, that's actually something really, really unique to my company, is that we provide the follow-up for the life of the lead.
Wow.
So until they convert to an appointment, I use the Mojo dialer, where there's awesome nurture calendar in there, partnered with the agent CRM. So typically, if we can get the leads pushed into their CRM with integrations, they're able to nurture them through the campaigns and their blogs and whatever, you know, they come up with, and through social media. We take care of the phone call. So we nurture them with that phone call, which is usually the most time consuming. And then their campaigns and stuff can nurture them with the literature and information along the way. But yeah, from the time that we get their nurture to the time of an appointment, we provide the nurture and follow up.
That's amazing. So when an agent hires you, they're essentially hiring their own ISA department, just not the overhead, not the liability, not the training. You know, they're just hiring someone to get them appointments.
Yep, exactly. A lot of times when they want to hire an in-house ISA, they don't factor in the amount of time that it takes to manage them. I mean, I have one floor manager for 10 ISAs. There's no ISAs working without a floor manager. And all of my floor managers have been with me for a year or more.
Nice.
So they've done all the types of calls. They know our systems. They know our clients. They're there to answer questions and to make sure that they're doing it properly. Our setup is very, very precise with the systems. Everything's customized to the client, down to the area code that we use for the caller ID. So one of the other unique things about my company is that when you hire us, we're not using a Chicago caller ID. We're using your caller ID. It can be a phone that you own, or I purchase a phone number with your caller ID.
That's
with
awesome.
Your area code, excuse me.
So it sounds like you have all these value propositions for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when somebody needs to have an ISA, they need to hire somebody that can talk American real estate.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, hiring a VA would be phenomenal if they knew how to talk American real estate.
Yeah.
Because real estate is very different. And you have to be able to go off script. You have to be able to assimilate with the conversations that you're having with people.
Yes.
You know, we have bilingual ISAs. I mean, I'm in Chicago, so, you know, it's still going to be a bit of a melting pot, but everybody here speaks clear English. And then I have my bilingual ISAs as well.
That's great. That's cool. So we'll end with 2 questions. Number one, what's the cost, and what kind of results can agents expect when they sign up?
So my smallest package is $6.99 a month. There's no back-end fees or commission when you close. And my package is $5,500 a month if you're a big team. Do a consultation that doesn't cost anybody anything. Anyone can call up and get a consultation with me to see if it's a good fit for them. We establish data source, CRM, team structure, their goals for 2019, and if everybody is on the same page as far as expectations goes for their data source to results.
Sure.
So if somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I have Vulcan 7 expireds, I'd like to have the smallest package, what can I expect? I can let them know that the nationwide average is 4 appointments a month and around 10 nurtures.
Sure.
Whereas if we do the same service with the FSBOs, it could be 6 to 8 appointments a month if I can work it with the script that I have.
And let's just stop there. So just to put it into perspective for someone, 4 expired listings a month for $700. Okay. Even if you're a bad agent, you're going to take 2 of those listings. If you're a terrible negotiator, you're going to sell 1. Okay. Yeah. So if that's the commitment that your company makes, and you know, these agents sell 1 of them, depending on your marketplace, like I'm in Orange County, our average commission is $18,000. So it's kind of a no-brainer to have an ISA, right? So, you know, that's a really good cost. That's a very good intro package. And I like that. Any other relevant things you want to share about your business before we wrap up?
Well, one of the main questions I get is, you know, what's your guys' conversion rate? And what they're talking about is their ability to secure the listing or to secure the buyer. And typically when I do my ongoing calls with my clients, their conversion rate doesn't change once we pass it off to them. So you can outsource, you can buy leverage, you can hire somebody else to do it, but you still have to be present in your own business.
Yeah.
You still have to be the expert. You still have to earn it. It's not like you're setting the appointment.
Yeah.
A real estate agent setting the appointment versus an ISA setting the appointment is two very different appointments, but your conversion rate shouldn't change if you're passionate about what you do and you remain in your business.
You're passing the ball. They've got a wide open shot. They still have to practice and make that shot.
Yes. And show up.
Definitely. Definitely. We're going to stay on the call a little bit after we wrap up, but Aleta, I just wanted to say thank you so much. This was incredibly insightful. A lot of good information on for sale by owner scripts. Where do they go if they want to find out more information about your service and potentially add your ISA team to their arsenal?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they can always find me on Facebook. It's Aleta Sarno, or it's ISA Experts for my business page. They can message me through Facebook. They can go to my website if they'd like. It's isaexpertspro.com. And through there's a scheduling link that they can schedule direct.
Awesome. And it's Aleta, A-L-E-T-A.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, that concludes the webinar. We'll stay on for a second, but that includes the webinar for today. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, Aleta.
Bye.